our first caller for this segment. Go ahead.
Hello. Congressman Bachmann, what I would really like to ask the Republicans in the House and probably the Senate is to have some kind of hearings on exactly how this whole thing started. We're overlooking what the government involvement into all the deregulation, all the Fannie and Freddie Mac's mortgage loans, and it just gets glossed over. What the House did, what the Senate did with all the loans that people couldn't pay, and Acorn's involvement with insisting that banks give out these loans to these people. If we don't look at what Congress has done, Congress is going to repeat all the bad things they did before. So I think I would really appreciate not only the involvement of the financial industry, but what did Congress do to help this get so bad?
Ma'am?
Well, thank you for that question. I'm glad that you asked it because there's a number of people that are asking the same thing. You know, it's like the story of when we were little. I know my mother taught me this. A lot of mothers have taught their children this. When you point your finger at someone, you have 3 fingers pointing back at yourself. And one thing Congress has failed to do thus far, in my estimation, is take a look at its own involvement, as you suggested, in creating this current crisis. And I think you're exactly spot on when you say both of the secondary mortgage purchasers, which are government-sponsored entities, government created these entities in the 1930s, Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. They are not inherently evil organizations. However, we saw a tremendous ramping up, so to speak, of Freddie and Fannie in recent years, in that Congress charged them to purchase more of these sketchy loans, if you will, loans that were made to people who weren't necessarily creditworthy to have the loans made to in the first place. Do you know that still to this day, Congress has not reformed both Freddie and Fannie? We're continuing to see Freddie and Fannie put forth even more loans into the system, and they have been at the epicenter of this financial meltdown. We need to have a thorough top-to-bottom investigation of what Congress did to overheat Freddie and Fannie to make loans to make loan purchases in the secondary market that they never should have made. Beyond that, we should take a look at the Community Reinvestment Act, and I'm sure in subsequent calls we can talk about that. But Congress also, in the late 70s under President Jimmy Carter, passed the Community Reinvestment Act, which was very well intentioned. The intention was to get more people, especially minority community, into home ownership. That's a wonderful thing. But during the 1990s, when the amendments to the Community Reinvestment were passed under President Bill Clinton, what we saw happen for the first time in our country in over 200 years, we had platinum-level lending standards. Those lending standards were far reduced in the mid-1990s. And at the same time, we saw the federal government put new strictures on banks, telling banks, if you want to increase your business, if you want to merge and grow, you have to make these sketchy loans to people who don't have a high likelihood of paying them back. So the government is very complicit. And I'd agree with you, we need to do a full examination on who in Congress and what actions did Congress take to put us into this mess.
New York City on our line for